Hello everyone, hello guests and colleagues. My name is Nguyen and today I will represent my article, namely Assessing Barriers to Green Apartment Development in Vietnamese Urban Areas. We have six content in the article. And the first introduction, rapid urbanization in Vietnam is substantially increasing the demand for housing, particularly high-rise apartment buildings in urban areas, while simultaneously placing significant pressure on energy consumption, clean water supply, construction materials, transportation, waste management, and the quality of living environment. According to aggregated data presented in the research report, the construction and urban development sector in Vietnam consumes approximately 60% of natural materials, 30 to 35% of total national energy consumption, and 30% of clean water resources, while generating around 30% of CO2 emissions. In Vietnam, there are more than 15 years of development. The number of green buildings had reached approximately 559 to 560 by the early 2025, with a total floor area of around 13.557 million meters. This scale remains modest compared with more than 100 million meters square of new construction floor area added annually. Green buildings are still concentrated mainly in major urban areas such as Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, Bình Dương, and Haiphong. We have two research methodology. The first is the combination of qualitative and quantitative approaches, and the second we have 10 following steps, which you can see here. And in step 7, survey data collection and data cleaning, the survey questionnaire was developed using a 5-point Likert scale. And in step 8, the calculation of impact scores and ranking of barriers, the impact score of each factor has calculated using the following formula. In reviewing of domestic and international studies, we have these 5 domestic and international barriers. And based on the review of domestic and international studies, it can be seen that the development of green buildings in general and green apartment buildings in particular should be considered within the broader process of sustainable urban development rather than merely as a technical issue concerning individual buildings. Therefore, identifying and assessing the level of influence of barriers to green apartment development in Vietnam urban areas is necessary to clarify the key bottlenecks hindering the transition from the traditional urban development model towards a green, resource-efficient, climate-resilient urban model that enhances the quality of life of urban residents. And here we have the influencing factors. The first one is the economic and financial barriers. The second one is the institutional and policy barriers. The third one is the technical, material, technological, and urban infrastructure barriers. The fourth one is human resources, professional capacity, and project management barriers. And finally, we have the market, social awareness, and urban development context barriers. In this table, we still have these 5 influencing factors, but we sorted them into rankings of the influence level by the influence score. And the discussion about the survey results, we have the average scores by barrier group shows that the technical, material, and technological barriers recorded the highest mean score at approximately 3.24. This was followed by institutional and policy barriers, 3.22, market, social awareness, and urban development context barriers, 3.21. Economic and financial barriers, 3.17, and human resources and project management barriers, 3.15. Although the differences among this group are not substantial, this ranking indicates that the bottlenecks to green apartment development in Vietnam do not lie solely in investment costs, but are mainly associated with the overall coherence of the system, including urban infrastructure, integrated design, policy implementation, and market behavior. The highest score barrier is urban technical infrastructure, including transportation, energy, water supply, waste treatment, and green spaces. It is not sufficiently synchronized to support the effective operation of green apartment buildings, with an influence score of R equal to 3.38, ranking first. This result is particularly noteworthy because it shifts the focus of analysis from the individual's building level to the urban area level. A green apartment building may obtain energy saving certification. However, it is located in an area lacking public transportation, affected by traffic congestion, with inadequate water supply, drainage, and waste treatment systems, insufficient public green spaces, and limited access to clean energy. Its green value will be significantly reduced. The second ranked barrier is buyers are not yet willing to pay additional costs for green solutions, with an influence score of 3.33. This indicates that the market issues do not lie solely in general awareness, but rather in the ability to translate awareness into purchasing behavior and price acceptance. Notably, the factor buyers do not yet fully understand the long-term benefit of green apartment buildings ranks only 14th, with R equal to 3.16. This graph suggests that the buyers are aware of benefits of green apartment buildings, but they do not yet have sufficient trust or a clear percentage of these benefits. The third ranked barrier is green design has not been integrated from the planning, basic design, and technical design stages, leading to higher adjustment costs at later stages, with an influence score of 3.31. This is a technical barrier with a strong procedural nature. The group of institutional and policy barriers also play a prominent role. Three factors in this group are among the highly ranked barriers. This reflects the gap between green growth objectives and net zero commitments on the one hand, and the ability to translate them into mandatory regulations, specific incentives, approval procedures, post-certification inspection mechanism, and clear responsibility for each level of management on the other. And since then, we have these recommendations, and for the conclusion, the paper has identified and assessed the barriers to green apartment development in Vietnam urban areas based on a literature review, an analysis of current situation, and a survey of 157 responses covering 31 various factors. The results show that the barriers are relatively similar level of influence, ranging from 3.10 to 3.38, reflecting the systemic nature of the issue and the close interconnections among the bottlenecks. The most prominent barrier is the lack of synchronization in urban technical infrastructure, followed by buyers' willingness to pay, the late integration of green design, inconsistent policy implementation, and the incomplete legal framework and financial incentives mechanisms. Therefore, green apartment development in Vietnam should be approached as an issue or urban governance and market development rather than merely a technical matter concerning individuals' buildings. And that is my presentation today. Thank you for your consideration, for your time, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me through my mail, and I will answer as soon as possible. Thank you so much.